Alright, what's happening guys? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for clicking on this video. Now this video is going to be an overview of the Arcade1UP Ms Pac-Man cabinet that was released a little while ago, and I'm planning to go over the cabinet itself and tell you the good, the bad, and give you my final thoughts on if you should pick this one up. Now the first thing I want to address is what I would consider to be a giant elephant in the room, being that out of the box, Arcade1UP decided to go with a really strange screen filtering feature that they're calling pixel smoothing. To be honest, it looks absolutely terrible, and I do get the concept, and it was supposed to give the screen kind of like a retro 80s CRT type of appearance, but in practice it just makes the games look really bad. It's kind of tough to capture it on camera in full force, but I did do a side-by-side comparison to show you guys what pixel smoothing looks like compared to what it would be if there was no filters whatsoever. Now, to be fair, Arcade1UP did provide a firmware update that you can access on their website that allows you to turn this off, and if that's something you're unhappy with, this is a good option. And along with adding that option in, they did add in some dip switch functionality. This is at least an option for those who are technically capable and comfortable of reflashing firmware. However, it's certainly not ideal for anyone who's not really technically able or doesn't feel very comfortable doing something like this, because it can be a little bit overwhelming for people who've never done this before. That being said, I did do the firmware update myself, and the improvements are substantial. Now, I would actually highly recommend this to anyone and everyone who has already purchased the machine. Now, we will shift more into the cabinet design first, and then we're going to get into a little bit of gameplay on the console in terms of emulation towards the end of the video. Now, this specific device was actually picked up from the Brick here in Canada, but I believe this exact same model was being sold on HSN in the United States. The machine overall looks really sharp and was well designed to represent the original Ms. Pac-Man look and feel. We have the beautiful yellow and pink on blue art that really pops, and it's easily something that will catch your eye as you walk into a room. One addition to the overall look that was not present on any of the original arcade machines is actually a really cool hot pink faux T molding, and although this isn't true to the original, I definitely like it a lot, and it gives the machine a really nice pop in terms of the color contrast. The Marquee on this machine looks really well done, artwork is on point, and the LED glow is well dissipated across the entire panel. Overall, it really looks sharp. That being said, this is the first machine from Arcade1UP that I've ever purchased that also came with a light up JPanel, and although the concept is kind of cool, personally I don't really like this. I feel like the panel itself really stands out and has a different look and feel to it than the lit Marquee. It almost feels noticeably aftermarket, and I'm just not really into how it looks. This is a personal opinion, and a ton of people may feel completely differently, but I think I'd just have preferred a non-light up version just with the art printed onto the panel itself. The control panel is pretty straightforward and looks great. The stick is fine for what it is, but we do get these standard low quality buttons on this machine like we do with all of the other Arcade1UPs. Now, I know I say this in every one of my Arcade1UP videos and reviews, but they really need to start using better quality buttons. I will say though that the artwork does look great on both the control deck and the bezel, and they are a very good representation of the original machine, and overall it just flows and looks really nice. The screen on this device is a 17-inch vertical monitor, and it looks sharp, bright, and vibrant after the firmware update, that is. As usual, the menu UI is very simple and well designed, and it is very easy to navigate. This version of the machine comes with 4 titles included, and those are the flagship game, of course, Ms. Pac-Man. We've got Super Pac-Man, Dig Dug, and Pac-Mania. And I did mention earlier that with this new firmware, it allows you to remove that pixel smoothing effect. They did also include some additional dip switch settings. That essentially gives the user the ability to adjust things like adding additional lives, adjusting the game difficulty, and even adjusting the game speed if you were one of those people who played the original machines with the speed chip installed in them. In terms of gameplay itself, the emulation was well done on these. All 4 games played as I expected, and I didn't notice any real issues here. I have read online some people were complaining about Super Pac-Man and Pac-Mania were running a little bit slower than they would have on the original games, but I personally just couldn't tell by playing it. If this is in fact the case, I could see this maybe being an issue for people who are arcade enthusiasts, but the reality is the average person looking to just pick this up and enjoy the occasional game or just have this on display in their home, I'd really be surprised if any of those guys ever even really noticed. But I will say there's actually one thing that I did notice that was super duper apparent to me that was on this machine that was different than any of my other Arcade1UP devices. The intro animated splash screen of the Arcade1UP logo felt really choppy, and it was not fluid, and it's not like any of the other devices that actually just looks like you're watching an animated logo in a video file. And I thought maybe this was something to do with performance on the board, or I just maybe had a bad video file, but after I did a little bit of investigating, I found out that Arcade1UP is just essentially using a slideshow of images for this, as well as background audio to kind of sync it all together. Now I can't say if that has been the case for all of their devices, or if this is specific to just this machine, but I will say it is really noticeable, and I hope that they correct this in future machines, as it kind of looks a little bit sloppy. Now coming around full circle, would I recommend you buy this? Well, assuming you can even find any left in stock at any of the retailers that carried them, it really depends on the type of person that you are. If you're comfortable with the process of downloading third-party tools, reflashing the firmware, or if you are the person who does not plan to play this at all and just leave it on display, then sure, pick this one up. If you are not interested in having to do any of the firmware updates and you really do care about the picture quality of the game that you are playing, then my recommendation would be to take a pass and wait for a newer version of this device. My guess is that in the next 12 months we're going to see a new Ms. Pac-Man cabinet, probably the 40th edition cabinet version, and you may be better off to wait for that model, assuming they don't force this pixel smoothing feature on you. I know that I'm giving it a hard time, but I really think it looks bad. But that is pretty much all I've got for you guys in this video. Tell me, if you own this, am I crazy for hating on the pixel smoothing feature on this machine? What are your thoughts of how this machine looks and the way it plays? Consider subscribing to the channel for more content, and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and a thumbs down if you didn't. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will talk to you guys again real soon.